Here we go.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Firing Line Radio Show. I hope you're having a great weekend. We're getting ready for Christmas here. And as we are always getting ready for Christmas, we always think of what can we spend our money on, right? You got all that extra money this year from the big, giant, booming economy. And we're going to help you spend it in this show. So my number one pal in spending that I brought on to help me with this is Lou Desmond. Lou Desmond, you all remember him. He's the host of the Desmond Show. He's also working with Maglite. And Lou, how are you doing this morning?
Fine, thank you. Up here in the lovely Pacific Northwest, we're actually getting our first snow of the season. So it's not going to stick today. It's too warm, but we're hoping that we actually have snow forecast for a couple days next week. Hoping for a white Christmas here.
I hope you get it too. You know, we actually got a little bit of rain this week, which is our first too, and very, very much deserved or needed, I should say. I don't think California deserves anything, but we need a lot of started. Things.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I love having your emergency mask hanging behind you just in case, right?
Well, do you see what it says?
I can't read it.
So,
no.
Folks, I have a mask in the back. I wrote it because I was really mad one time. So I have one of those little blue masks that says, "I'm better than you." So if I have to put it on, it's all for show. I'm just going to be right out front. I'm better than you. That's why I wear a mask. Yes, that's Dog and Pony Show for the mask. That's a whole nother subject we should talk about one other day. But Lou, you've been working with Maglite now on their marketing team and development team for quite some time. And obviously, folks, they're a product sponsor of the show and we use them and they're fantastic. But we want to give guys a couple of ideas about some of the things that you do. Number one, let's talk about Made in America. That's something you don't see. And
well, okay, we got to be careful. We can't say Made in America with relation to Maglite.
All right.
You have to say manufactured in the United States. This is because
the state of California, right?
Right. There is a state of California standard that was basically 100%. If you weren't an avocado or a grape grown in California, you couldn't say you were made in America under the California standard. That standard was adjusted with Maglite being a big proponent behind it more than a decade ago. And by the time it actually got passed, the loopholes in it were so big, you could drive a truck through it. And basically, our lawyers said it basically presented a field of icebergs for any commerce that is going to be done in the state of California by anybody that manufactures anything, because it not only applies to products that are made and sold in California, it applies to any product that says it's made in America, whether it's manufactured in California or not. If they say they're made in America and they don't meet the standard of California, which again is written, it's a trial lawyer's dream, the way it is written, then they can be sued. And as a matter of fact, Leatherman, the knife company, left California because they lost a big judgment on it. Senator Mike Lee of Utah has actually pushed legislation through the Senate to try to change and set one federal standard, because he had a small company in his district that made plastic mold injected basketball sets for toddlers. The net was made in Mexico. That company was sued in California and lost a multi-million-dollar judgment, which put them out of business. Whether or not that bill then gets through Congress is up in the air. I don't think it's likely until after the midterm elections, when I think the Republicans are going to, and this is the Lou Desmond opinion, not Maglite, when I think the Republicans are going to take back the House.
That absolutely makes me sick. That, you know, we've seen it. We've seen the sausage that happens in the sausage making that happens in Excremento and other places. And it's one thing to have a standard, hey, made in America, here's the way it is, but they set it up for class action lawsuits. They set it up for their trial lawyers, who are their main contributors. So they'll have a new field of opportunity to feast on, new victims to plunge their vampire fangs into.
And you know,
suck the
when it
world
comes
dry.
to things like NAFTA, you can make the vast majority of your car parts in Mexico, import them into the United States, and assemble the car in North Carolina, and you get to call it made in America.
Well, they have bigger lobbyists.
Right. And so it's absurd the way that it's written. And to be clear, the Maglite is completely manufactured and assembled from start to finish into finished packaging, ready to go on the shelf at a store, all at that 1 million square foot facility in Ontario, California, a couple miles from the airport.
Actually, I've been there. It's an amazing thing. They have an amazing complex there that has been years in the making and development, and they've got a great production run. And it is sad. It's sad that, again, lawyers write the laws so lawyers can have a job. And that job is involved with basically sucking the lifeblood out of the rest of the economy.
Now, there's some good news on this.
Really? Because help me.
Okay. So one of the major components that is basically almost impossible to source in the United States are electronic switches. The world market for electronic switches is China. They've put everybody else pretty much out of business.
Right.
Now, to me, the idea that we don't make electronic switches in the United States at all is more than a branding problem for companies like Maglite. It's a national security problem.
One of many.
There is not a fighter jet, a helicopter, a Jeep, a drone that operates without electronic switches. If we get cut off from electronic switches, we can't manufacture anything. And right now, we've given China that hammer to drop on us whenever it's convenient for them. However, I just saw in the news recently that Texas, of course, will be home to a giant new electronic switch manufacturing facility. And I don't remember which company in the United States it is that's doing it, but it's Honeywell or somebody like that, that is basically building the first ginormous chip manufacturing facility that the United States has seen in decades.
And then they'll capture the market because nobody wants to go through this again. You know, we see it all the time. I went to a coffee shop yesterday. They can't get the plastic lids. It's ridiculous. You know, there's this shortage that we've let ourselves. And again, I know this is a Second Amendment show, but hey, this is really what we're all looking at, folks. You can see how it affects a company like Maglite, but everybody's feeling this, that we have left ourselves trying to get the lowest Chinese part. We've left ourselves vulnerable, and our leaders have allowed this to happen. We should have defensive industry protected in the United States. And I'm not saying that we need the crony capitalism side or crony socialism side of it, but we need to have an area that we...
I would personally, again, this is the Lou Desmond opinion, not
Right.
the Maglite opinion, although I'm wearing the Maglite shirt, as you can see. I would gladly subsidize defense necessary things to be manufactured in the United States, like medicine and electronic switches and O-rings and things that are just necessary to make everything work, right? If you don't have O-rings and electronic switches, you can't manufacture something.
You're back to buggy wheels. Yeah, exactly
You're
right.
done. It's over.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, it's an
Well, the other thing we
incredibly-
learned, Lou, the other thing we learned all in business school, right, was just-in-time inventory. Hey,
right.
you don't want to spend your money on inventory. Do. It comes in, it's put together, it's out, it's sold, boom, it's an efficient line. And that works great when you have a line. But when all of a sudden your seed has been cut off, you're not growing any crops. And I am sure that the next several rounds of years are going to be people building up an inventory so they don't have to see this again. you're gonna see more of that. That's where companies are going to have to put their funds so they can stay viable for the next time, because
Maglite is very forward thinking in that area. They have years and years of supplies of most things that are necessary to make the Maglite. We've had some fun with our social media recently, doing things like showing a bunch of ships out at the port, and and then a picture of a Maglite, and the caption is something along the lines of, we're never going to be in one of those containers because we never left Maglite. Because everybody else is having a terrible time getting their product in to the United States. The shelves are getting a little bit bare of certain items, and flashlights are one of them. So, you can get this nice made here.
Does it say Fox News on it?
Yes. Well,
folks, actually, if you're watching along on the video, so we have this video up at gab.com/Fireline Radio, and on our YouTube channel, you'll see what he's holding up here. He's got it again. Yeah, there you go. He's got his giant Maglite flashlight, one of the beautiful kind that we always love. And
ML300L, long lasting.
ML300 D cell battery, the kind that can knock a hard ball into deep left field, with the Fox News
use.
with the Fox News label on it. That's the best kind, knocking a hard ball into left field with a Fox News label on it.
Well,
folks, this is Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. We'll be right back here with the rest of that story with Lou Desmond. Check us out at firinglineradio.com.
Real boy.
Oh, Philip wants this on tape.
What was that, Lou?
Real boy.
No,
you do that well.
That's sexist. You can't say that you're a boy.
From Lou Desmond, we didn't know about.
You can't say that you're a boy. You could be an admiral.
Could be. Of course, that's the line from Pinocchio. When he gets turned into a real boy, of course, he gets turned into a donkey at some point also.
He turns himself into a donkey.
Yes, he turns himself into a donkey. I'm sorry. So, hey, Phil, great to be here with you. We were talking about
We're going to pick it up in just a second here, Luke.
Right.
All right. You ready, Dan?
I'm ready. Here we go.
That's not on the air. Just in the video.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick.
Hey folks, Philip Naiman, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Every week we're here talking to you. We're telling you all about the Second Amendment, your rights, and all the other great stuff, and giving you the opportunity to participate in it by going down to Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside, corner of Brockton and something else. But he's between Central and Arlington off of Brockton. I always forget the name of the little street, but he's right there, big blue building. You really can't miss it. And why do I say head on down there? Well, I was just there yesterday. While I was there yesterday, they had a giant shipment of consignment firearms. Folks, this is gold. This is where you want to be. So all these firearms are in. There's things that are not on the roster, but you can buy them. He got a huge shipment of them. I only bought one of them this time, but I'm going to tell you.
You restrained yourself.
I did restrain myself.
Very good.
I walked in.
Pleased.
Yeah, folks, that's Lou Desmond here. I walked in. I said, hey, put that one in a box for me. I'll be back later. But it's amazing. So that's why you go visit your gun stores on a regular basis. It's not just about the Glock on the shelf or the Elf on the shelf, the Glock on the shelf. It's about what comes in through consignment sales, estate sales. There's always something new, and you're going to miss out if you don't head down there early, head down there often, and bring all your money. Besides that, everything costs just around $100. Your mileage may vary, but it's going to be a good deal. So check that out at Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo, 951-823-0211. Whoops.
I had to kick my elf on the, I'm sorry. I stepped on the phone number. Give it again.
951-823-0211, bullseyesport.com. Go say hi to Vince and buy everything that I left. I did leave you guys some gems. Buy it all up. Make everybody happy. Oh,
I had to
Lou,
kick my
back.
elf on the shelf out. Elf
What
on
happened?
the shelf had to be kicked out. Well, I drained my bar and puked all over the couch.
I bought 2 Elf on the Shelves just so I could blame them for draining the bar.
My wife actually she bought this this elf on a ladder that leans up against the Christmas tree, and the damn thing goes up and down, and the dogs won't stop barking at it. So we had to turn it off.
Yeah.
So there you go. Best of intentions. We were talking about this Fox News branded flashlight.
Okay. And why do we have a Fox News branded flashlight?
Well, because as everybody saw who follows my social media and follows Maglite social media, Maglite was invited to come on Fox and Friends weekend, Thanksgiving Saturday, because they were highlighting product that is USA based, that can be purchased and is available now, because there are so many things that people can't get because they're coming in from overseas. So John Maglite was on the show. I was there accompanying him, and he did a wonderful interview, and the people at Fox were gracious as can be. And by the way, the talent at Fox and Friends loves the Chick-fil-A breakfast bowls. That's what they were having during their break. They were coming into the green room where we were, and that was their all-American breakfast.
No Starbucks.
So no, you couldn't find any It was Chick-fil-A and Dunkin' Donuts coffee is what you see. Just throwing it out there.
Very cool. So John Maglite, for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet him yet, is really a great guy. He's a retired sheriff. He was a pilot, very knowledgeable man.
Ontario police officer.
Okay.
City of Ontario PD.
And a pilot. And just a great guy, very gentle, but knowledgeable. If you've ever had a chance to hang out with him, head on down there to Maglite and say, hey, I want to hang out with John Maglite. I don't know how that'll work, but you can try. But one of the other thing that you guys have here, this Lou on your flashlights, is you guys have extended a product code for Firing Line Radio Show.
Yes.
And so if you go to the Maglite website and you type in Firing Line 15, you get 15% off on everything. So you can buy early, buy often, and save extra money to go over to Vince's at Bullseye Sports and buy the consignment firearms. So,
by the way, not our fault, but if you're going to buy a Maglite for somebody for Christmas, you want to do it soon, because shipping is backing up all over the United States. I actually have been victimized by this on something that I bought on Amazon that I just got a notice that said, oh, it's going to be here January 13th. Oh, great. So just so
hope it's
much
not
for
perishable.
That. Oh, yeah. No, it's plastic, thank goodness. But not our fault, not Maglite's fault. I'm just warning everybody. Shipping all over the United States is getting squirrely. So if you're going to order for something for Christmas, please do it soon.
Yeah, order early, order often. The other part that's important about this is, we're going to get into it in the next couple of segments, but the use of lights. All right. So flashlights are great, right? Your dad had one. It was a big plastic 2D cell thing. It cast out about 20 lumens and it died in an hour, right? That was the cruddy thing that we all had growing up. Or you got the giant million candlelight power that went into your car, and then you got in trouble with the police with that. Not that that's a personal story, but it's pretty funny if you see me afterwards. But the Maglite that has been developed and been honed and true for years, they're still around. Lou, there's a case of Maglites that you guys have downtown or in your office over there that have a story with them, right? Wasn't one of them underwater for how many years?
Oh, so we have what we call the Mag Museum at Maglite. And back in the day, people used to actually ship us Maglites with a handwritten letter explaining what had happened to the light. It went through a wood chipper. It sat at the bottom of Lake Tahoe for 2 years. It was in a 4-alarm warehouse fire in Chicago, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, one of the most famous ones is actually based in San Bernardino, which is there was a San Bernardino sheriff who thought he was pulling over a drunk driver up in the high desert. His name was Jim Constantine. Jim Constantine, Lieutenant Jim Constantine at the time, pulled over this guy, and the guy opens fire on him with an AK-47 with armor-piercing bullets. He was on a mission to kill police officers. He wanted to lure a couple police to him and kill them.
Remember this story.
So Jim caught a bullet in the hip, which then caused him to start to double over. The next bullet struck the Maglite right here in the neck. That would have gone right through the center of his chest. The bullet lodged in that flashlight right there, and it is still there in that flashlight today. Except now that flashlight isn't in the Maglite Museum anymore. It's in the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial and Museum in Washington, D.C. on permanent display.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the tools of the trade Maglite section of that facility. And Maglite was one of the earliest and largest donors, by the way, to the Memorial Fund and Museum for law enforcement officers in Washington, D.C.
Always been very, very much pro law enforcement. And thank you for that. So I want to bring up a couple of different of my favorites anyway. Okay. You can tell me what you like, but having sampled the Maglite stuff and done a ton of giveaways on this show, you know,
what do you think they taste like, by the way? Just kidding.
Well,
Tastes like chicken.
It depends on the fava beans that you have with them. But the my favorite for the home use that I've always got around the house, that is your giant ML 150R. Now, this is, I call it giant. It's not. It's only about 10 or 12 inches long. But this is a rechargeable flashlight that you can keep in your hanger. And it's got 3 or 4 different modes on it for the light use. But it's got like 1,000 lumens. I hear a bump down the neighborhood, not even in my yard, and I can see if it's a bear or not. You know, it's amazing the way that this thing, the beam that it casts. Lou, let's talk a little bit about that, because you can have bright lights that are super, super bright, but they don't have the ability to be useful over a certain distance, right?
Well, okay. So, by the way, I just want to get the branding on this absolutely right. It's the ML150LR.
Yes, I was looking at it upside down. LR.
Just so that, yeah, ML150LR.
Long range.
Yeah, so everybody knows. Okay, so lumens. This is what we're talking about. It is lumens.
Lumens and usable.
Okay,
usable
so there's a
beam.
big. So the way I explain this to people is, okay, you've seen somebody welding and they're wearing that big welding helmet, right? The reason for that is at the point where that welding is taking place, there are 10s, 20s, 30,000 lumens being thrown off. Does that mean you have a useful lighting instrument? No, because it's not, you can't direct it. You can't focus it. You can't do anything with it. What that means is that light and you can be seen from far, far away by somebody else, but actually your vision is really impaired by being that close to that many lumens. And if you were to hold that in your hand somehow, arm's length from you, you would see all that bright light and then you would see nothing beyond it. You would actually be blinded by it. So the important thing is not only how bright is the flashlight.
You know what? It is the important thing. And we're going to have to pick it up right after this. Sorry about that. This is my cue. Folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show with Lou Desmond with Maglite. Maglite.com. Get the discount, Firing Line 15. And we'll be right back after this.
Boy, that segment was shorter.
Yeah, he pulled a minute out of it because we were long on the first one.
Hang on a second.
Puppies.
Roof, roof, roof. Roof, roof.
Puppies. Live radio.
Yeah, exactly. Ding dong. Phone goes buzzing. You've got mail, right? Earthquake. I keep peeking my camera.
Don't say those words. Earth and quake don't go together.
Well, I don't know if you noticed twice in this last session. I just reached my leg out. I kicked the camera. It's like, dummy, you set it up wrong again.
Oh,
Things
really?
you learn. It's only been 9 years.
Well, you're still learning. That's a good sign.
No, I haven't learned. That's a bad sign.
Well, think that you're
I should have learned.
If you miss it the first time, you're always given an opportunity to learn it again. That's the nice part.
Yes, yes.
God
Sorry,
gives us that opportunity.
Sorry, a delivery truck was here, so my German Shepherd was going nuts.
So did you get your stuff from January 13th delivered early?
No, it's actually a present for my daughter, and I'm gonna have to give her a little IOU.
Wow.
Give her a tracking
Yeah,
number.
I haven't
for-
even begun yet, so I'm
Here's the
sure I'm going to
tracking-
hit a lot of.
She gets a
Here's a card
tracking
and a
number for
tracking number.
Christmas.
Yeah, congratulations.
See
you in January.
You give her a card with a tracking number.
That's pretty much
great.
good. It's going to happen a lot this year. You know,
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's
Tracking
okay.
number. It's a tracking
And
number.
this one,
Christmas.
this is just on the video side, but did you see what Biden did? That he says there's only 43 boats off the coast of California. There's only 43 in sight. They backed the other 100 off over the horizon. Like there's no truth in the man. There's just
No.
none.
Well, and I kind of feel sorry for him in a way because you wonder how much information he's really being given. That's true.
Yeah, he was given 43 boats. Yeah.
That was the talking point he's being provided. But if you're a president and you have half a brain, you do a little deeper digging, but he doesn't have half a brain. He's got about a quarter left. All right, let's roll.
You ready?
Sorry, I forgot whose show it was. All right, let's roll.
All right, we'll roll.
Spartans, lay down your weapons. Come and get them.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Philip Naiman here with Lou Desmond, maglite.com. Get on their website, get their discount at Firing Line 15. All the products in there, Firing Line 15, that you can actually get your stuff before Christmas, and that's kind of a big deal, as you heard in our last segment here. Folks, I have Lou Desmond on. He's helping with the marketing. He's the marketing director at Maglite, and he's a longtime friend of the show. Lou, you had a point to make just before I had to cut you off for our commercial there.
Okay, the difference between lumens and usable light.
Thank
I
you.
was saying you see somebody in a welding mask, that's because there's 10, 20, 30,000 lumens at the point of that weld. That's not a useful source of light. As a matter of fact, if you tried to direct that somehow and point it and use it as a light source, it's just going to blind you and make it so that people can see you from very far away, but you can't see them. Well, that's why it's really important to know.
Well, and not only that, but on that point, when something so close to you is lit up that brightly, you lose all of your night vision.
Yes, yeah,
For minutes.
you're actually blinding yourself.
Right.
And that's why people should not, in my opinion, be using the super high lumen settings on their lights, especially in enclosed spaces, because the reflection is going to blind you. So this ML300L, don't take my word for it. Popular Mechanics did a review, and they said it will put a useful beam of light on something up to a quarter mile away. That's because of how well engineered and how well focused the light beam is. Just because you've got 3,000, 5,000 lumens at the point of attack doesn't mean you have a useful beam of light. You need to really understand what's important and what you're using your light for.
The light works.
Yes, it works. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm blinded now.
I just showed that in the camera there, folks. Now it's important because, all right, so I came back, I did my Alaska hunt this summer, and I was training for it all spring long. And when you're doing a backcountry hunt like that, weight is important. Everything is about weight, not just my weight, but I'm talking about the packs you're wearing, because you have to take the whole animal out. So on your way out, we had 130 pounds on our back, and it was a long slog, long day. So I weighed everything going in, and I made different choices. Now, everybody has a headlamp, right? Headlamps are great for backpacking. They're great for soft diffuse light. So you can see where your feet are going at night. You could do something with your hands in camp. It's a nice light, but it is half of the light you need in the woods. And here's why. I was doing the Momeyer Creek Trail, and this is early spring, so the sun sets early. I'm coming down and it's dark. And across this trail, you have to cross a giant wash, and the wash meaning boulders. And then somewhere on the other side of this canyon is where the trail comes back up. Well, guess what? With your headlamp, you had to circle and circle and circle to try and find the trail and which way you needed to go. But I had the XL 200. Now, this is a very small light. This is not the rechargeable version, but
small but mighty.
Yeah, this thing cast a beam all the way across this canyon, was able to see where the trail came down. And that's what I realized, it's not just the brightness, but it's the usable force of light. And that's where Maglite really comes in on this, is you're able to project a beam. And so it got me across that canyon. And then in Alaska, the same thing. We were in some really terrible terrain, and it's like, well, which way do we need to go? But you're able to pull out this light and you could see the trails on the hillside of the canyon, the cliffs of death near Mordor, where we had to cross over. But it saves things, and you don't realize that. You say, oh, I got a light, and it's a little Petzl light, and it weighs 4 ounces or less, right? But it's really good for a certain service or certain application, but it's crap for others.
Yeah, if you're underneath the hood of your car, great. But if you need to see something far away, and not helping.
And so the difference is, if I could see where that trail is, I don't have to hike an extra quarter mile this way, quarter mile back with 130 pounds on my back, right? Because that's where your energy drain, and that just wears you out. And so obviously for carrying, a few extra ounces of weight besides your headlamp, this is a lifesaver, and it should be in everybody's backpacking gear. Not to mention your bug out stuff and like that, but you need to have, and it's, test it. Don't take my word for it. Take Lou's. No, test it. You're out there in the desert or whatever. You got your headlamp, you're looking around, and the lights around, or the bushes around you are all lit. You can't see where the trail's going. Pull out one of these and you'll see a quarter mile away. Oh, that's the direction I need to go. This other direction is certain death. I'll choose life. I'll choose light and life this way.
Choose life. I agree.
Exactly. Choose light that ye may live. Yeah, there's your new marketing slogan there, Lou.
You and Bilbo out there near Mordor, huh?
Dude, it was bad.
Fredo there too.
Yeah, we're doing a show on it just before Christmas with the guides and stuff. But yeah, Alaska is big country. You just can't stress how, in space, no one can hear you scream. Same thing in Alaska.
Right.
Yeah.
In Alaska, yeah, no one's gonna.
If you scream in Alaska, you just call in the grizzly bears, so it's not a good thing. Don't scream.
Helping them find you.
All right. So lumens and focused beam. Now that is part of the engineering that comes in with Maglites, right? And it has to do with the lens and the cones and all the stuff that I don't understand.
There's everybody gets caught up in lumens. And there are actually things that are a lot more important than lumens.
But see, they don't market as well. Somebody says 2,000 lumens. It's like, well, damn, I need that.
Battery life. Nobody talks about battery life. Maglite's got some of the best battery life in the business. And the fact is, rechargeables simply don't last as long as old-fashioned batteries. That's a fact. It's physics. It ain't going to change. And so is there a use for the old school battery powered light? Absolutely. Because in an emergency situation, your power goes out. You're not recharging your flashlight unless you're clever. And like Maglite, you also can charge it off a car battery in your vehicle, which most of ours do as well. But this ML300L 4D, more than 2 weeks of usable light on one set of 4D cell batteries. That's in eco mode. Now, this can throw 1,000 lumens or more. I think it's like 1,008. And put it a quarter of a mile useful light on something. But you can also dial it all the way down to 60 lumens, which, by the way, the original Maglites in 1979, 60 lumens.
And I remember how bright we all thought they were.
Oh my God. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is the brightest thing you've ever seen. It's 60 lumens. Okay. in an enclosed area, 60 lumens is plenty of light.
Right. Now you're saying it'll go for 2 weeks. Is that in the total run of hours? 2 weeks, like 24 hours a day, or?
Yeah, I'm saying turn this on, put it into eco mode with 3 clicks,
Right.
set it on a shelf, come back in 2 weeks, it's still going to be on. I did it myself with 2 of them, put them on a shelf in my garage. 2 weeks later, they were still running. Actually, it tests out to almost 18 days continuous use, but we like to say conservatively 2 weeks or more continuous light. And think about it this way, the sun is up half the day. So really, you're talking about 30 nights of usable light a month.
That's assuming you have it going all night long.
Yeah.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada bing. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, forget about it. Hey, we're moving on here. It's a family
Tony,
show. Hey,
where's the nose? Anyway, so yeah, that's battery life, the ability to throw a useful beam of light, durability, charging time with a one that you put on a charger. These are all things that matter. How fast is my flashlight going to recharge?
right. And we're going to bring that up right after this segment. Sorry, we're just blowing through these segments here, folks. Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show, firinglineradio.com for the podcast. We'll be right back after this. Lou, can you see the chat?
Stop video. Yes.
Yeah, so pull that up on the side so you can see if he
Got it.
gives us a warning.
Oh, okay. Well, you're the host. I'm just, hanging out.
Dude, you're the pro. I'm just following you.
We got one left.
One left.
You ready?
And let's go
Let me know.
through the prepping stuff. Why you need to have this in your case. You don't know if you can have a new source of electricity. You don't know these things. And so everybody should have your rechargeable for everyday use, but this thing should be sitting around ready to go in your go bag. All right, Danny, bring it home.
Here we go.
Yes. Great hunter. Yes. Fine figure of a man. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That is all you need to know for now.
Hey, folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. Joining me back here with my friend Lou Desmond, the marketing director of Maglite, Maglite USA, Maglite.com, Maglite and Chinese food. Everything goes with Maglite. So you want to just check them out there, folks. And if you go to the website, maglite.com, use the code FiringLine15, you get 15% off on everything. And right now you can even get your stuff before Christmas. So you won't have to give out IOUs or tracking numbers in your Christmas cards. So,
Merry tracking number Christmas.
Yeah, Merry tracking number. Happy January. Exactly. Yeah. So, hey, you need this stuff. And here's why. I mean, I have product sponsors on my show because they're things that I use and I believe in. And Maglite is one of them. I have 2 of them sitting here across the desk from me right now to show on the video on YouTube and on our gab.com. But it's important that you have this stuff for prepping. And when I'm saying prepping, I'm talking about if anything happens and you have to take care of your friends and your family, lights are absolutely useful. Not only are they defensive use, some of these can be used for defensive purposes, but you need to have light. Let there be light. And with the battery portion, like Lou was just talking about, this is important. There are eco modes. There's like 3 different modes on this other one I have in my hand here. So you can go super bright. You can go down low. I mean, I use them on a barbecue. Sometimes if I put it on the super bright mode, I use that just to finish the chicken. It works. But Lou, let's pick up from there about what you need or what you would suggest somebody have in their everyday, bad case scenario situation.
I'll just go through what for me is important. And I live rural. I'm in a very rural part of the county. I'm on a private dirt gravel road. We lose power here. It happens. And when we do, we are the last priority to have our power turned back on. The same is true of my house by the coast. It's on a peninsula. It's very remote. It's lightly populated. So again, if we lose power over on the coast, we're not going to be the first priority to be turned back on. So in the kind of environment I'm in, yes, I have a rechargeable in my garage.
Right.
My wife has a rechargeable by her bedside. She's got one of the small ones. The one out in the garage is larger. It's an ML150LR that you were talking about earlier. She's got one of the MagTac rechargeables. And then when you think about a flashlight, you got to think about it like a hammer. There's different hammers for different purposes. There's a sledgehammer. There's a rubber mallet. There's a hammer for driving nails. There's a finishing hammer. Why? Because they're all for different purposes. You don't use a sledgehammer to put in a tiny nail that you're going to hang a picture from.
Unless you really hate that nail.
Unless you really hate your walls. So this, the ML300L4D, it's designed for a very specific purpose. It lasts a very long time. It throws a beam of light a very long way, and it runs on regular batteries. This I consider a survival light. When the fit hits the shan, this is what I would have as my go-to. It's going to last a long time on a single set of batteries. If you're smart, you have extra batteries in your house. I always do. But for everyday use, a rechargeable is great. But the other thing to remember is, if you don't have two of something, you don't have one, is what anybody in preparedness will tell you.
Yep.
So
2 is 1 and 1 is none.
right. So I would say you probably want a large battery-powered ML300L4D like this as one of your necessities. And then you probably want a smaller one that throws less lumens, that can fit easily in a pocket, that's easy to manipulate one-handed, so that in an enclosed space where you've got to work on some wiring or undo a lock or whatever it is in the dark.
And keep your gun hand free.
Exactly. You got something small that you can handle with an offhand, something this size, right? That will do that job. And there's even, I would suggest to people, just on your keychain, we've got a keychain size light.
I've got one on my wife's. Yeah.
Just so that, just in case you need a flashlight in a pinch and you don't have your go bag with you, what do you always have? You always got your car keys on you. So just put it on there.
That's when I can find my car keys. I don't know. I'm the worst about that.
So we actually have a central space in the kitchen where all the keys to everything hang. So
that's where most of the time it's there, but it's when it's not there. That's when I'm in trouble. Yeah.
You got to remember to put the keys back.
I have 2 sets of keys for everything, 2 wallets. So when I lose one, I just grab the other and go. It's going to show up, right?
We'll find it eventually.
Exactly. So let's talk about the go bag. So that 4-cell, that's a big, heavy light. All right. That might be great for.
Heavy is a relative term. It's mostly
heavy is a relative term.
batteries.
Where I'm going with this is you do have some of the smaller sizes that have extended life batteries also. So like on the, I'm holding up the, I said XL200 here, folks. So I'm holding this one up right now, and it's got a lot. I don't even know what your lumen charge is on this a lot, but it's got a great beam. It's focusable. You can go wide, you can go spotlight, which is another important thing when you're using it out in the field. But you have some of these different lights with different battery levels also, where you can click 2, 3, or 4. Like the MagTac, I think, has 3 different settings.
A lot of them have multiple settings for power, and then also things like strobe.
Right.
It depends on what model you're looking at. You've got to look at the features.
That's the Maglite Rave model for the strobe. So it's a party every time.
We even have the Maglite Spectrum series, as you know.
Yeah, the different colors.
Different colors: red, green, blue, soft white, all for different purposes.
That's very interesting. So it's an important thing to have. And I would say that there's probably 3, minimum of 3 that you would need, right? You need the XL300 that you're talking about right now. That's your when the lights go out.
ML300L4D is when you don't have any power and you're going to need a source of light for a long time. There you go.
4D, meaning the 4D cell batteries.
Correct.
And then the ML150LR, as I was talking about.
Your everyday rechargeable.
Right. I use this a lot. And this has got 1,000 lumens on its high end. So it's a super bright light, but it's a castable, usable light.
And you can dial it back to about 60 lumens.
Right. Or you could finish the chicken with it, which
Correct.
I do on the barbecue. Just puts a nice burnt glaze with 1,000 lumens. And then also the XL200 or the MagTac. I like both of those a lot. And these are what I carry. And think about this. If you're in church, you're shopping, the sun's going down earlier, this should be something in your pocket all the time because power goes out, which when the California grid happens.
Oh boy.
Right. You're going to want to have that. So if you're like an usher at church, you should have this. We're doing Christmas Eve services. Just think about those things, guys. You should always have something like that in your pocket, ready to go. So you can help other people, keep them from panicking. It's an important thing. So you should always have that. And, put some in your car, each car. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Good glove compartment size.
Mm-hmm. And so you'd obviously want to deal with the battery versions on that. So
the other way that you could go in your car is many of the rechargeables recharge also in a vehicle.
Battery lighter, yeah.
And there's a number of them that are car cup holder rechargeable size. So you put the recharging base right in your cup holder and it sets right in there all the time.
Does the MagTac fit that?
Yes.
Oh, that's all. I didn't know that. So there you go. So the MagTac, which is a really, really good tactical light, it's obviously why it's called that, but it is rechargeable. And yeah, that's great. Unless you drive a BMW with no cup holders.
Oh, there you go. Or like my Porsche Boxster, which, of course,
the German says no drink and drive.
Well, it's I respect things that are made for a very specific purpose. And like the Maglite is engineered
bringing it home
for very specific purposes. Porsches are engineered, at least the ones when they were really good Porsches, to drive, not to entertain.
Yeah, but I like my coffee, so I'll drive my truck. Okay,
there you
so
go.
there you go. Folks, it's just an important thing. Christmas is coming up. We want to make sure that you have what you need.
Give the gift of safety and security.
That could be interpreted a lot of ways. Let's deal with lights.
Yes. Let's deal with the backlights.
Light up your world. You can even get the multiple color ones. Here's what you do, guys. You want to save some time? Get the blue, the green, the red, the white, and put them outside the house and tell your wife the Christmas lights are done. Right?
There you
bada
go.
bing, bada
Easy
boom.
enough.
You're not hanging anything. You're not climbing on a ladder.
Yeah, buy a bunch of them, hang them on your Christmas tree.
Go to maglite.com, firing line 15 for your discount. Lou, thank you very much for being on the show. God bless you. You have a Merry Christmas.
You too. God bless. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. God bless us, everyone.
Thank you, Tiny. We'll be back next week. God bless.
See ya.
Shoot, Felipe. Shoot.
Forgot to turn the sound down. Oh, you got that.
All right. Are we out?
We're out.
Hey, thanks, Phil. That was fun.
Thank you. You have a great day. Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.